124. Fu Jian's reckless decision to invade eastern Jian. During Wang Ming's lifetime, Fu Jian followed his counsel in all matters. However, after Wang Ming's death, Fu Jian ignored his final warning. Wang Ming had advised that former Qing's true threats were the Xianbei and Chang peoples, yet Fu Jian placed great trust in the Xianbei noble Murong Chui and the Chang noble Yao Chang, both of whom had surrendered to him from former Yan. Wang Ming had warned against attacking eastern Jin, but Fu Jian viewed Jin as his only true enemy, determined to annihilate it. The first attack on eastern Jin. 3 years after Wang Ming's death, in 376 AD, Fu Jian ordered his son Fu Pai, along with Murong Chui and Yao Chang, to lead an army of over 100,000 troops in a multi-pronged invasion of Xianyang, a key eastern Jin stronghold. The Jin general Zhu Su fiercely resisted. The Qin forces spent nearly a year before finally capturing the city. Fu Pai took Zhu Su prisoner and sent him to Chang'an. However, instead of executing him, Fu Jian admired his loyalty and integrity, granting him an official position within former Qin. Next, Fu Jian sent another army of over 100,000 soldiers to advance eastward toward Huainan. The eastern Jin generals Xie Shi and Xie Xian launched a counteroffensive by land and water, crushing the Qin forces. Fu Jian's determination for a massive invasion. Despite this setback, Fu Jian was unwilling to give up. By 382 AD, he believed that the time was ripe for a full-scale invasion of eastern Jin. In October of that year, Fu Jian convened a meeting in the Taiji Hall of his imperial palace to discuss the campaign. He addressed his ministers. "I have ruled for nearly 30 years, and most of the rival powers have been subdued. Only Jin, entrenched in the southeast, refuses to submit. Now, we have an army of 970,000 elite soldiers. I intend to personally lead them in a campaign to destroy Jin. What do you think?" Many ministers strongly opposed the plan. Quan Yu, one of his advisors, cautioned, "Jin may seem weak, but their emperor has committed no great mistakes. Moreover, they have capable ministers and generals like Xian and Huan Chong, who remain united. A major campaign at this time may not be wise." Fu Jian's face darkened with displeasure. Next, the general Shi Yu spoke up. "Jin has the Yangtze River as a natural barrier, and its people are determined to resist. I fear that victory will not be easy." Now furious, Fu Jian bellowed, "Humph! What is so special about the Yangtze River? With the sheer number of our soldiers, we could throw our horsewhips into the river and dam it up. What could possibly stand in our way?" Despite prolonged debate, the meeting yielded no conclusion. Frustrated, Fu Jian dismissed the ministers, declaring, "You may all leave. I will make the decision myself." A lonely voice of reason, Fu Rong's plea. As the ministers left, only Fu Rong, Fu Jian's younger brother, remained. Fu Jian pulled him aside, saying, "Throughout history, great decisions have been made by only a few wise rulers. Today, my court is filled with meaningless debates. Let you and I decide this matter." Fu Rong, deeply troubled, replied, "This campaign is filled with challenges. Our troops have fought non-stop for years, and they are exhausted. Even the most loyal ministers today are urging your majesty not to go to war. I beg you to heed their advice." Fu Jian had not expected his own brother to oppose him. His face darkened again, and he snapped, "Even you have lost confidence? I have 1,000,000-strong soldiers, vast reserves of weapons and provisions. How could we possibly fail against a feeble remnant state like Jin?" Fu Rong, on the verge of tears, desperately continued, "Not only do we lack certainty of victory, but Chang'an is still filled with Xianbei, Chang, and Jia tribesmen. If your majesty leaves on a long campaign and they rebel, it will be too late for regrets. Have you forgotten Wang Ming's dying words?" Despite more warnings from ministers, Fu Jian refused to listen. Murong Chui's manipulative encouragement. One day, Murong Chui, the former prince of former Yan, requested an audience with Fu Jian. Fu Jian asked for his opinion on the campaign. Morong Chue flattered him, saying, "Strong states conquer the weak, and great empires absorb the small. With your majesty's unparalleled wisdom, a million-strong army, and a court full of brilliant strategists, the destruction of Jian is inevitable. Why hesitate?" Hearing this, Fu Jian beamed with joy, exclaiming, "It seems that you alone truly share my vision for unifying the land." He immediately rewarded Morong Chue with 500 bolts of silk. Encouraged by Morong Chue's words, Fu Jian became so excited that he couldn't sleep. Warnings from his family. Even Empress Zhang, Fu Jian's beloved consort, pleaded with him to reconsider. Many officials opposed this war. "Please think carefully before making a decision." Fu Jian dismissed her with irritation, saying, "Women should not meddle in military affairs." His youngest son, Fu Xian, also tried to dissuade him. "Uncle Fu Rong is the most loyal to your majesty. Why won't you listen to him?" Fu Jian coldly replied, "A child should not interfere in matters of state." The reckless marched to disaster. Ignoring all advice, Fu Jian pressed forward with his invasion plans, determined to crush eastern Jian. He appointed Fu Rong and Morong Chue as vanguard commanders, while Yao Chang was given the title general of the Dragon Cavalry, leading troops from Yizhou and Liangzhou in preparation for the attack. Meanwhile, Morong Chue's nephews, Morong Nong and Morong De, secretly whispered to their uncle, "The emperor's arrogance has grown beyond reason. This war may be our golden opportunity to restore the Yin state." Thus, while Fu Jian blindly marched toward war, Morong Chue and others harbored their own ambitions, waiting for the right moment to betray him. This reckless decision would soon lead to one of the greatest defeats in Chinese history, the disastrous Battle of Fei River, 383 AD. 125. Xia An's return to politics. In August 383 AD, Fu Jian personally led an army of 870,000 soldiers from Chang'an toward the south. The Grand March created massive clouds of dust along the roads. Infantry, cavalry, supply wagons, and horses stretched for nearly 1,000 miles, forming an unstoppable force. A month later, Fu Jian's main army reached Xiangcheng, modern-day Xinqiu, Hunan. Meanwhile, his naval forces advanced down the Yangtze River, and troops from north of the Yellow River arrived at Pengcheng, modern-day Suzhou, Jiangsu. His forces stretched across a battlefront of over 10,000 miles, pressuring eastern Jian from both land and water. When this alarming news reached Jiankang, modern-day Nanjing, Emperor Xiaowu of Jin and his court officials panicked. The people of Jiangnan were determined not to let their homeland fall to former Qin, and all eyes turned to the Prime Minister, Xian, for guidance. Xian's background and his return from the eastern mountains. Xian was from Qin Commandery, Yanxia County, modern-day Taikang, Hunan. As a young man, he was close friends with the famous calligrapher Wang Shiji, and they often traveled together, enjoying the scenic beauty of Mount Dongshan and Kuaiji. Xian was highly respected among the literati and aristocracy and was widely regarded as a brilliant and capable individual. However, he preferred a reclusive life over government service. Whenever he was recommended for office, he would resign within a month. At that time, a saying circulated among scholars: "If Xian refuses to serve as an official, what will the common people do?" It was not until his 40s that Xian finally returned to political service. Because he had spent years in seclusion on Mount Dongshan, his return to politics became known as Dongshan Zai Qi, meaning returning from the eastern mountains, a phrase that later became synonymous with making a strong comeback. Xian's military preparations. As former Qing's power grew, it frequently harassed eastern Jin's northern borders. The court sought a capable general to defend these frontiers. Xian recommended his nephew, Xie Xian, to Emperor Xiaowu, who promptly appointed him as a general stationed in Guangling, modern-day Yangzhou, Jiangsu, to command the northern defenses. Xie Xian proved to be a gifted military leader. Upon arriving in Guangling, he expanded the army and recruited troops, including many refugees from the north. Among them was Lu Laozi, a warrior from Pengcheng, known for his exceptional combat skills and bravery. Xie Xian appointed him as a lieutenant and placed him in command of an elite unit. After rigorous training under Xie Xian and Lu Laozi, this unit became an unbeatable fighting force. Since they were stationed in Jinkou, modern-day Zhenjiang, Jiangsu, an area also known as Beifu, Northern Garrison, they became famously known as the Beifu Army. The defensive strategy against Fu Jian's invasion. Facing Fu Jian's massive invasion, Xian chose to stay in Jiankang to oversee the situation. He appointed his younger brother, Xie Shi, as commander-in-chief of the expeditionary forces and Xie Xian as frontline commander, leading 80,000 troops across the Yangtze River to engage Qing forces. Additionally, General Hu Bin led 5,000 naval troops to Shouyang, modern-day Shou County, Anhui, to support the main force. Although the Beifu army was highly trained, their numbers were only 1/10 of the Qing forces. Even Xie Xian felt uneasy about the odds. Xie An's unshakable calm. Before setting out, Xie Xian visited Xie An's residence to seek final instructions on military strategy. To his surprise, Xie An responded casually, as if it was a trivial matter. "I have already made the arrangements." Xie Xian waited, expecting further detailed orders, but Xie An remained silent. Feeling uncertain, Xie Xian returned home. The next day, he sent his friend, Zhang Xian, to visit Xie An and secretly probe his thoughts. However, as soon as Xie An saw Zhang Xian, instead of discussing war, he invited him to a countryside villa. There, they found many prominent scholars gathered, seemingly carefree. Zhang Xian had no chance to discuss military affairs. Instead, Xie An challenged Zhang Xian to a game of Go, jokingly betting the entire villa on the match. Zhang Xian was an excellent Go player and usually defeated Xie An. However, that day, he was so preoccupied with the impending war that he played absent-mindedly and lost. After the game, Xie An took everyone on a leisurely tour of the mountains, enjoying the scenery as if nothing important was happening. They spent the entire day outdoors, only returning home at night. That evening, Xie An finally convened a military meeting, summoning Xie Shi, Xie Xian, and other commanders. He thoroughly assigned each task, addressing every detail with calm confidence. Seeing Xie An's unshakable composure, the generals gained confidence and returned to their camps in high spirits. Concerns from Huan Chong. Meanwhile, Huan Chong, stationed in Jingzhou, learned of the impending crisis. He immediately sent 3,000 elite troops to reinforce Jiankang. However, upon arriving, they were told, "Everything here is already under control. You should return to reinforce the western defenses." The reinforcements relayed this message back to Huan Chong, who grew deeply concerned. He remarked, "Prime Minister Xie An is indeed an admirable statesman, but he lacks military expertise. The enemy is at our doorstep, yet he remains as relaxed as ever. His army is too small, and he has entrusted command to young, inexperienced officers. I fear disaster is imminent. The stage is set for the Battle of Fei River." Despite these doubts, Xie An's strategic calm and leadership would prove crucial in the coming battle. The outnumbered Eastern Jin forces would soon face Fu Jian's overwhelming army, setting the stage for the legendary Battle of Fei River, one of the most decisive engagements in Chinese history. 126. The Battle of Fei River. After Xie An sent General Hu Bin with the naval forces down the Huai River toward Shouyang, they learned that Fu Rong, the vanguard general of former Qing, had already captured Shouyang. Unable to advance, Hu Bin retreated to Xiashi, modern-day southwest of Fengtai, Anhui, and set up camp, waiting for Xie Shi and Xie Xian's main army to arrive. Meanwhile, after taking Shouyang, Fu Rong dispatched General Liang Cheng with 50,000 troops to Luojian, modern-day east of Huainan, Anhui, to cut off Hu Bin's retreat route. The Jin forces were now surrounded, and their food supplies dwindled daily. A critical moment for Jin. Hu Bin secretly sent a message to Xie Shi, warning, "The enemy's momentum is overwhelming. Our food supplies are nearly exhausted. I fear we won't last until your army arrives." However, the messenger was captured by Qin forces, and his urgent plea fell into the hands of Fu Rong, who immediately sent a rider to report the success to Fu Jian. Upon receiving consecutive reports of victory, Fu Jian grew even more arrogant. Confident of an easy conquest, he left his main army in Xiangqing and personally led 8,000 cavalry to Shouyang, eager to personally witness the defeat of Jin. After discussing with Fu Rong, Fu Jian sent an envoy to the Jin camp to demand their surrender. The envoy was none other than Zhu Su, the former Jin general who had defended Xiangyang against Qin but was later captured and conscripted as an official in former Qin. The betrayal of Zhu Su. Although Zhu Su served under Fu Jian, he remained loyal to Eastern Jin. Upon reaching the Jin camp, he embraced Xie Shi and Xie Xian like long-lost brothers. Instead of delivering Fu Jian's surrender demand, he secretly revealed Qin's strategic vulnerabilities. Fu Jian has mobilized nearly 1,000,000 troops, but they have not yet assembled. If you strike now and crush their vanguard, their morale will collapse. Xie Shi, however, hesitated, believing Shouyang was too heavily fortified. His nephew Xie Yan urged him to follow Zhu Su's advice and attack immediately. After careful deliberation, Xie Shi and Xie Xian agreed to launch a preemptive strike. They ordered Lu Laozi, a top general of the Beifu army, to lead 5,000 elite troops in a lightning assault on Luojian. The stunning victory at Luojian. The Beifu army lived up to its reputation. Like fierce tigers with wings, they launched a bold river crossing and attacked with unparalleled ferocity. The Qin forces at Luojian were completely unprepared. They barely resisted before collapsing in chaos. General Liang Cheng was killed, and thousands of Qin soldiers drowned while fleeing across the Huai River. This major victory boosted the Jin army's morale, and Xie Shi and Xie Xian immediately led their forces to Fei River, setting up camp near Bagong Mountain, opposite Shouyang, where Fu Jian's main forces were stationed. Fu Jian's growing unease. After sending Zhu Su to negotiate, Fu Jian had been eagerly awaiting Jin's surrender. Instead, the loss at Luojian struck him like a hammer blow, shaking his confidence. Feeling uneasy, he climbed the walls of Shouyang with Fu Rong to survey the Jin army. Across the Fei River, the Jin forces were neatly arranged, their weapons gleaming under the sun, and their patrols orderly and disciplined. As he looked further, he saw countless figures moving in Bagong Mountain, mistaking the trees and vegetation for an even larger Jin army, thus coining the phrase "grass and trees appear as soldiers." Fu Jian finally realized his underestimation of the enemy. Turning to Fu Rong, he admitted, "This is indeed a formidable opponent. How could we have called them weak?" The deceptive strategy of Xie Xian. Although the Jin army had momentum, they still could not cross the Fei River, as Qin forces remained heavily fortified on the other side. To break the deadlock, Xie Xian sent a letter to Fu Jian, stating, "You have marched deep into Jin territory, but now hesitate at the Fei River. Is this how a great army fights? If you truly have courage, retreat slightly and allow us to cross the river. Then, we can face each other in an honorable battle." Fu Jian considered the request. If he refused, it would expose his fear. Overconfident in his overwhelming numbers, he called his generals and declared, "Let them cross. As soon as they are halfway across, we will launch a cavalry charge and annihilate them." Upon receiving Fu Jian's agreement, Xie Xian quickly prepared for battle. The collapse of Qin's army. At the agreed time, Fu Jian ordered Fu Rong to begin the withdrawal to create space for the Jin army to cross. However, many Qin soldiers, already tired of war and fearing the Jin forces, panicked at the retreat order. Some thought it was a full retreat, others believed the army was in danger, and chaos broke out. Seeing this disorder, Xie Xian seized the moment, leading 8,000 elite cavalry across the Fei River in a swift and ferocious charge. At that moment, Zhu Su, still within the Qin camp, suddenly shouted, "Qin forces are defeated. Retreat!" His cry spread like wildfire. Qin soldiers in the rear, unaware of the actual situation, saw their comrades running and joined the rout, shouting in panic. Fu Rong tried desperately to restore order, but the soldiers fled like a stampede of wild horses. Amid the chaos, he was knocked off his horse and slain by pursuing Jin troops. With his brother dead, Fu Jian realized all was lost. As he turned to flee, a stray arrow struck his shoulder. Ignoring the pain, he whipped his horse and fled north, escaping only after reaching Huai Bay. The aftermath: Qin's collapse. The Jin army pursued relentlessly, slaughtering the panicked Qin forces. The battlefield was littered with corpses, and even those who escaped were so terrified that they mistook the sound of wind and cranes for Jin soldiers chasing them, a fear immortalized in the phrase "the wind howls, and the cranes cry." Having secured a decisive victory, Xie Shi and Xie Xian recaptured Shouyang and dispatched a rider to Jiankang with the glorious news. Xie An's reaction: a calm victory. At the time, Xie An was playing Go with a guest at his residence. When he received the battle report, he showed no excitement, casually placing the scroll on his bed and continuing the game. The guest, curious, asked, "What happened?" Xie An slowly replied, "The young ones have finally defeated the Qin army." The guest, overjoyed, abandoned the game and ran off to spread the news. However, as soon as Xie An entered his private chambers, he could no longer contain his excitement. As he stepped forward, he tripped over the threshold, breaking the wooden teeth of his clogs, a rare moment of uncontrolled joy. The fall of former Qin. The Battle of Fei River crippled former Qin. Fu Jian limped back to Luoyang with only 100,000 remnants. Meanwhile, as Wang Meng had foreseen, Murong Chui and Yao Chang seized the opportunity to rebel. Murong Chui founded later Yan, and Yao Chang established later Qin. Ultimately, Fu Jian himself was captured and killed by Yao Chang, marking the final collapse of former Qin.